808.
Hey there, Kaleidoscope Klan. How's everyone doing? It's Mariposa Maát. Happy May Day. Happy Beltane. Beautiful climax of the spring season. We're halfway through to summer. And yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about how Venus just moved into Aries. Yes. And it's going to conjunct Neptune tomorrow. So both Venus and Neptune are now in Aries, which puts us into a whole new cycle regarding feminine energies. They're pretty much on the same trajectory as far as their energies. It's just that Venus is a personal planet. It's closer to us, and Neptune is way out. So both of them have to do with feminine energies, intuitive abilities, comforts, women, as far as your relationships to women, the five senses, how we experience life. Neptune goes into more of a otherworldly aspect of this, as far as connecting us to all that is, and so it's a whole nother thing. But I wanted to talk about as far as how we might see these energies manifest in our life, not just tomorrow when it's conjunct, but moving forward, because they're both in Aries. I want to bring your attention to the CLAIR senses. Yes, I'm sure that you've heard of them before, as far as, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all those different clairs. They're basically our psychic senses, the way that we get messages that are not from the physical, tangible world. And I think it's really important because we live in a world that pretty much negates that pretty much puts the logical mind over intuitive senses, which is a little crazy, because intuitive senses are like just directly from God, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, yes, I was born with a lot of intuitive senses, a lot of psychic gifts, which I am just now recognizing to the point where I would call them that. I always felt that I had a certain kind of knowing, but I also had been trained by my family to negate that voice and to look more at logical reality, which is unfortunate, because your intuitive sense is put there to give you an edge up, it's to support you. And so it's something that being in this new cycle where we are, that more people are going to be waking up to these special gifts, and they come in different forms. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so yes, there are 6, and the first one is claircognizance. Claircognizance is when you basically just know. It's not from a sign or anything. It's just, you just feel that something, is a reality. And this is something that I really had And I still do. I have a lot of claircognizance. When I hear things, I can like know if it's true or not. I can just feel it and go with that knowing where nothing can tell me otherwise. Now that I'm older, I can feel that way. I remember when I was a child, I used to always say, I know. When people would tell me things, I used to say, I know. And when I had first reflected on that, when maybe I was about in my 30s or something, I don't know, as an adult, when I reflected on it, I felt like I was being silly. Like, oh yeah, I used to always say, I know, blah, blah, blah. Because my feeling was, when I was a child, I remember that I would know what people were going to say before they say it. Like, while they're talking, I would already know where they're going. I would already know what they're going to say. And now I realize that that was a real thing. Like, you know, at first I was thinking, oh, it's just a silly child thing, you know, magical thinking. No, I really did, you know, have knowing about different things. So that's the first thing, claircognizance. You know, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that these things are real, because these are the kinds of things that could save you from going through very serious challenges in life. And I've had some times when I have ignored my inner knowing, went down roads where it ended up in destruction. So this is the reason why I'm giving you these. Okay, so after claircognizance, we have clairaudience, which of course means that you hear a voice or something that will let you, give you a sign, give you a symbol, know something, you know. So I have a story about this, and this doesn't happen that often for me. So that's why I remember this very clearly. A few years ago, I was leaving my apartment, and I had cats, and so like I came out and I was doing things with the cats, and then I left out and I walked maybe about 5 or 6 blocks. I was walking and I heard a voice that said, "You left the keys in the door." Like, I heard the voice. It wasn't remembering doing it, because I didn't. I was very involved, I guess, in doing what I was doing with the cats, and I just I wasn't paying attention the way I normally do, where I would see something and then remember, oh, I left it. Like, I had no remembrance of that, recollection, that's what I meant to say. I had no recollection of the moment of leaving my key in the door at all. But as soon as I heard the voice, I started looking in my bag, and I realized that I didn't have my keys. And I went back, and the keys were sitting there right in the door. And that was a very clairaudient moment for me, because I would not have had any idea. I would have gone on about my day and put myself in danger of someone finding my keys in the door, right? So that's my little story about clairaudience. And like, it was a full sentence, you know what I mean? It wasn't just a thought, it was a voice that said that to me. So that is my example of clairaudience. If you ever, I mean, of course, there are people who are spiritually open, where they hear voices that aren't necessarily positive or good. Sometimes there are voices that, you know, that say bad things to people. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. This is clairaudience, where you hear a voice that is supportive, okay? So that's the second one. Okay, the next one is clairsentience. Clairsentience, and you can, you know, hear the root senti for feel. So it's when you can feel the energy in an environment or off of people to have a knowing, okay? And this one I have very strong. I can definitely feel energies, and I will avoid situations because I don't want to feel negative energies. I'm thinking of a specific example. I have it all the time. Oh, yes. I definitely feel like spiritual stuff, you know what I mean? I went into the San Bernardino dungeon. Oh, they call it a convent, right? Where they converted people. So to me, it just looks like a dungeon. It looks the same as the dungeons in Africa that I've been to. And the missions that are dungeons in California. Just from how they treated people, those are dungeons. So anyway, I had been there for some time before I actually decided to take the tour inside. And when I went into the large courtyard, I couldn't even stay. Like, the energy was so strong for me. In fact, I couldn't even stand upright. I was like bending down and like running out. My son was there, and I was just like, I can't be here anymore. The energy was way too strong. Even being outside of those kinds of buildings, I can feel energy. But I felt the torture and the pain in that place, you know. And when I deal with people who are very negative or who have very heavy energy, I can really feel it. I can really feel it when people are both happy and sad. I can feel people's energy. So I'm an empath. So I am clairsentient, and I'm very grateful I am. It's a really good skill to have. I was taught when I was young to ignore it because, you know, I was kind of taught that you just have to deal with unpleasant stuff. So I had ignored it a lot when I was a child, but now I'm very conscious of it. And I would encourage you, if you're also clairsentient, to use that sense, you know, to the best of your ability so that it can steer you in the right direction. Okay, so the next sense, the fourth clair sense, is clairalience. And that is when you can smell. You know, like literally when you can smell that something is not good. Or I guess possibly you can smell nice smells too, I believe. But it's kind of like if there's a really bad character around you, you can smell them. Like, I've heard people say this before. I don't have this one. Where it's like a egg smell or a boo-boo smell. When you're around someone. I mean, I've smelled people, but I believe those were their real smells. But I'm saying that they don't actually have a smell on them, but it's like their aura. It's like they stink in that way. So, yeah, that's another way, is to smell something that's not actually there. Clairalience. The sixth sense is clairgustance, and that is when you can taste something that's not actually there. That sounds like that would be I mean, if you could like feel like you were eating something that you weren't eating, I would probably enjoy that. I like to eat. But no, I guess more than likely it's like a sign to you. You know, with psychic senses, it's like you have, I think I skipped one. Yeah, but clairgustance is when you can taste it. But clairvoyant, I don't think I said clairvoyant, right? Clairvoyant is when you see signs or symbols that are not actually there. Okay, that's the sixth one. Clairvoyant is when you see signs or symbols around that aren't actually there. I'm trying to think if I've ever had that experience before. Because what I do is, like, I'll see things that are actually there and I'll know that it's a sign or symbol. But I don't see signs and symbols that are not there. Yeah. So that's another thing, you know, like when someone can actually, oh, I did see something once. There was someone who ended up being a very bad character. And the first time I saw them, it looked like their eyes were glowing from far away. I could see that their eyes were glowing. And I took that as a warning, and my immediate feeling was I didn't like them. And then later on, I ended up being friends with them, and it all went downhill as far as seeing why. Very bad character, probably someone who was into demonic stuff. That's probably what I saw. But yeah, that's one thing that I did see, one clairvoyant experience that I did see. I've seen some other things. Yeah, I have seen other things now that I think about it. But that's enough as far as, you know, sharing that one experience. So yeah, these are gifts from God. And women, being that we have more water in our bodies, we are more receptive to spirit in these ways. So it's more normal for us to have these. I mean, men can have them too. However, as a gender, according to our sex, not our gender, according to our sex, the way that our bodies are made, women are more spiritually receptive. God just made us that way. And so to negate our psychic senses is also to negate women's gifts, you know, feminine gifts. So even, I'm speaking even to men who have them, of course. It's a way that women have been attacked, you know, to try to take away our powers, to try to negate our powers, to undermine our powers, to make us seem like we're crazy, when in fact we're especially wise and intuitive. So, as both Venus and Neptune are now in Aries, Aries is the beginning of a new cycle. Aries is a fire sign, which, you know, is all steam ahead, right? To have them coming out of the depths of Pisces, more subconscious, into the manifested real world, a lot of us are going to be having more conscious psychic experiences. So I just wanted to bring that to you, that information, and to let you know that psychic senses are very real and they're not uncommon. It's a part of what human beings are gifted with naturally. And so I encourage you to be proud of the gifts that you've been given and to use them to the best of your ability, because they are there to help set you up for success. There are times when I've had knowings, you know, different ways, where where it was against what I logically saw and felt. And in those moments, it's really important that you've built up your intuitive knowing so that you're not confused about which one to go with. Because I consider my psychic abilities, again, to be divine, to be from God. So if I go against them, then I'm afraid of the repercussions. Not because I'm afraid of God, but because it's, you know, that the intuitive ability is a gift to try to help me. And if I ignore it, then, you know, I just think that that's not a smart thing to do. So I encourage you to practice being conscious of the other ways that you might be perceiving things, and to develop your sense so that it can be very strong. I have done a number of things that were scary to my conscious mind, that were against what other people think and what, you know, would be normal or whatever. I've, you know, completely just gone on my knowing at times. And I mean, I know how to divine too, so I check my knowing. But when I'm absolutely sure about something, despite what other people say, despite what things look like, I have now honed my psychic abilities where I feel very confident, and I have great successes. I've changed my life in very positive ways from following my intuitive abilities. So that is my testimony. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because growing up, I didn't have any kinds of influences that supported my spiritual psychic abilities. I grew up in a household that was very much focused on business and power, social status, and money. And they didn't like they did not like my inner knowing. They did not like my psychic abilities at all. And now I know also that they did things intentionally to me to break that down for years that I was in the house. And even outside of the house, there were a lot of psychological games being played on me throughout my life. And it's only now that I've been able to spend time with myself and block out all of the negative energies that I have come into this reality and understood that no, I need to like stand in my power, and my psychic abilities and my intuitive gifts are a part of my personal power. So I hope that that helped someone, you know, gave you some yummy food for thought, something you can really use. And until next time, this is Mariposa Maát, encouraging you to continue to embody your sacred transformation. Until next time, peace. 808.